A Guatemalan migrant and his daughter are suing the Biden administration, seeking millions in reparations over their separation at the border during the Trump administration. Last year, talks to settle similar lawsuits ended amid widespread backlash over reports that the White House was considering a $450,000 payout to each. Let's bring in now Niall Stanage. He is the White House columnist for The Hill, our sister company. Niall, good morning. So first, under what legal provision are these lawsuits being initiated? What law or protection are these migrants alleging was violated?
So a couple of ways of answering that, Ruta Bay. In terms of the specifics, these migrants are claiming things like the intentional infliction of emotional distress or negligence, and they're doing so under a law that allows the government to be sued for things like that. Now, I think there's a bigger picture issue. Often in these discussions, we hear people hostile to these kind of claims saying, well, these people shouldn't be in the country anyway, why are they claiming? From a legal standpoint, they have a right to claim asylum in the first place. But secondly, and importantly, people who may be in the United States without authorization are not stripped of all legal rights and protections. They still have the legal right to be treated fairly. Crimes can be perpetrated upon them, and people are not immune from the consequences of that. So that's the broader moral underpinning of their case.
Okay, and there are now at least 22 pending lawsuits on behalf of dozens of people, right?
Yes, that's right. Around 80 parents and children, we think, are at least involved in pending lawsuits. You mentioned in your introduction, Ruta Bay, that this goes back at least to last fall when there was that political firestorm over reports that the Biden administration was considering those payments of almost $500,000 per person in settlement of all these claims together. Now what we're seeing is claims going forward on an individual basis or sometimes two or three together rather than a whole kind of class action type of situation.
And the Justice Department in January arguing that the government does have the authority over migrant processing, writing, quote, "This discretion necessarily entails decisions regarding with whom non-citizens are detained, including decisions regarding whether adults and minors can be detained in the same facility and to whether to detain family members together." But a federal judge just rejected that.
She did, indeed, and she did so on really two bases. One was that she noted that the plaintiffs in this case, the migrants in other words, are not challenging the government's ability to put forth immigration law or to carry out immigration law. What they're saying is that the way it was manifested in this case falls afoul of other laws like negligence and so on and so forth. The judge also made the point that the government's position would seem to mean logically that the government can do whatever it likes to people who may be undocumented migrants. And she said that simply can't be allowed to stand because you would open the door to all sorts of misdeeds that would then be essentially immune from prosecution or from redress.
And the Trump administration very forward about wanting this to be a deterrent for people coming across the border. And of course, this is coming amid this fierce debate over ending Title 42. That's a COVID-era deportation policy. A federal judge yesterday extending that temporary order, blocking the Biden administration from rolling it back when it expires this month. Do you expect to see the Senate take up this issue?
It certainly could do, and there are negotiations ongoing about that this week. To make a very long story short, there are Republicans and some Democrats who want Title 42 extended. And their argument is that Title 42, which is ostensibly a public health measure, should not be lifted if the broader public health emergency over COVID remains in place. As I say, there are some Democrats in competitive states that are pretty much aligned with Republicans, or at least critical of the Biden administration in terms of ending Title 42. They would like to see it extended. We'll just have to see whether there can be any agreement reached in the Senate in that regard.
All right, Niall, thank you for making a long story short and breaking it down for us. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click on the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.